Hello, welcome to another episode of Mega Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, and today we are talking about One Piece, chapter 1049, titled The World That Should Be. I am Jason Hahn, and I'm a writer for Screen Rant. I like to write news about video games and all kinds of stuff, but I'm also a huge manga fan, so we decided to start the Mega Manga podcast. And I've got a couple other Screen Rant buddies with me who happen to specialize in comics and mangas. Definitely check out the website for some of their works and some of mine if you are into video games as well. But I would love to talk about One Piece and 1049, and my buddies are here to help me out. Francesco, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. And Francesco, as Jason said, I also work for Screen Rant, where I'm a writer for the comics section. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this momentous chapter of my favorite series, which is One Piece, of course.
Absolutely. It was a huge chapter, and I'm still kind of in shock. From everything that's been leading up, how long it's taken us to get to this point.
Yeah.
It was a big chapter. But yeah, Ben, how about quickly introduce yourself so we can get into it?
Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm also a comics writer at Screen Rant. I write about manga and DC and Marvel comics. And One Piece is also my favorite series, so I'm also hyped to dive into this because this was just, we've been in Wano for so long and this fight has been going on for so long and now it seems, Oda could throw a curveball at us, but it seems like it's finally over now. So it's very satisfying to read.
Yeah, I like to reread chapters before we discuss them, and just it's probably the third time I've read this chapter. It feels more solid every time I read it that this is the end. Because to not regurgitate everything that happened, or not to recite the whole chapter to you, but Luffy versus Kaido seem to have come to an end. We've had a couple chapters of it getting hyped up that Luffy's getting his final attack ready, and we've been counting on Momonosuke to move the island, and people below are sending up their lanterns, wishing for Orochi to die or to disappear, waiting for a big scary dragon to disappear, and it's all happening. And it was, I love the last chapter. We got the little lantern saying, I want Orochi to go away. And then the panel almost immediately after was Denjiro beheading Orochi, the final version of Orochi, hopefully. And we got a very similar thing in this. One of the last couple pages, we got a lantern saying, get rid of beat the scary dragon. And it was the panel before that of Kaido sinking into the ocean, and oh man, it's just my hair and my arm are all standing up just talking about it. Look, going over these panels again, like other than just Wano being the longest arc of the series, Luffy just took down a Yonko. I mean that. Oh my god, that feels so good to say. I mean that's something that we've been working towards since the very beginning of the series. And Oda has even said that he previously didn't plan on writing anything about warlords or anything of that. It was just the story about the Straw Hats fighting Yonkos, essentially. So, has One Piece finally started?
But more, I have a more important question because
Okay.
you said sinking into the ocean, but I was under the impression that it was actually buried into the ground of the island. Did I make a mistake? Because I also wrote about this, so I have to go change the article.
I don't know. It is
I
kind of
think
hard to
it's
tell.
Yeah, it is. It
I
is.
I was also yeah, I was confused about this, so I looked in the comments below on the Viz Media app because I was like, surely someone here will know what happened. And they're debating about it in the comments too. So I think it's ambiguous at this point. There are a couple things to point towards it being the ground, like, because the Kaido impression sort of stays
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
top. Um, and also they might be too far inland for it to sort of be the ocean. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you can see sort of like these like trails of something like coming off Kaido, like trails of
Mm.
blood or trails of whatever,
Hmm.
which wouldn't really necessarily happen underground. So I think it's ambiguous, and
Mm.
we might have to actually wait to the next chapter to find out.
Yeah, I
I-
almost wonder if it's exactly where Big Mom is.
yeah, it almost, but there was a hole, and uh, Kaido made a hole into whatever he's sinking into. I
Yeah.
think the ground would be more appropriate, as a metaphor.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, at least I did not make a glaring mistake that everybody's gonna point out. At least there is a debate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because I didn't
yeah.
even think about that. But I mean, Luffy did say, I think previously, that he wanted to punch Kaido into the ground. So, I mean, that would totally make sense. And it would actually make the attack even more impressive because, I mean, sure, if Luffy punched. I mean, it's already super impressive. My favorite panel, not to detract too quickly from this, is the punch finally hitting Kaido, and then you see Kaido's giant dragon form essentially disappear, and then for context, you see Kaido's like true or his regular dragon form silhouetted within it. So you're seeing really how much bigger the fire dragon form was than original Kaido. And more importantly, how big Luffy's fist is compared to normal Kaido. So the fact that he hit him so hard that he is literally quickly descending through the earth is amazing. And that definitely makes it even that much more powerful sounding than if he's in the ocean, flying down into the bottom of the ocean essentially. So that's exciting, and I didn't realize that. I thought he was hit into the water, but I
no, I think when he punched him, he broke one of his horns.
yes, yes it
Yeah,
did. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, that was something that I noticed. I didn't notice when I first read it, but I read a comments on it and went back and looked at it, and I'm like, holy crap, that's yeah, Kaido is missing one of his gigantic horns, which Um, at this point, Onigashima has both of its horns have been destroyed, one by Kaido and one by Zoro. But yeah, I mean, just a lasting hit against Kaido because I mean, One Piece has done so far. Nobody's died like major villains. Luffy seems to knock them out, and then they show up later again. But having that sort of lasting damage against Kaido. Again, I think Kaido's definitely down for the fight, but I'm guessing that he's still going to have some words, or there's going to be some extra closure with the people of Wano against Kaido. So yeah, I'm curious to see how. I definitely think the fight's over, but we still need the whole. We need the party. We need a little bit more Kaido backstory. That was another bit of my favorite bit of this chapter was the Kaido flashback. We finally got more Kaido introspective, especially the adorable kid version of Kaido. um,
That's probably the most controversial part of this chapter, right? Because everyone was expecting much more from Kaido's flashback,
Mhm.
and we only got like I think it's 4 pages,
mhm.
and we didn't really learn anything new about him. Yeah, we know where he's coming from, and it's the same old like the celestial dragons are bad, the kingdoms are bad, they're selling these soldier to the marine, all of that. But it feels really really rushed and not really telling us anything we didn't know. It's only just secondary details, but I guess these really, more than anything else, tells us that that the series has to move forward.
Mhm.
Because,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
time and pages are precious. So,
oh, for
uh,
sure. Well,
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of disagree. I think the flashback. I mean, we learned a couple things. First, the big glaring thing, I had to even write this down because I thought it was such a big deal. But the old lady that can transform into anybody who has Bon Clay's original devil fruit, it's kind of like we got the official word that she's the one that sent Kaido to Wano. Like, like it was all her fault. And so it's kind of making me more curious about her. And one theory I was reading is that she was actually one of the Rocks pirates, obviously when she was younger. But that was one theory that I thought was more interesting because her sending them there, I mean, other than we got, especially in the anime, a lot of time with her and Orochi, her turning Orochi into the main villain of Wano. It's just kind of all leading back to her. So now I'm kind of curious about her. Like, what was her main purpose for triggering everything that has come up to this point? So I'm hoping we get some more information about her. There's also the panel of, are we supposed to assume Rocks is telling Kaido, hey, we're going to God Valley, and I see a little straw hat silhouette there.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, and it's interesting, but it could also be Big Mom, who used to wear a hat when she was younger,
True.
like so, and the silhouette seems a bit similar to her. It's I noticed that too, but who knows?
More
I mean,
questions.
we won't find out until later, I think. And I think that this is the last of the Kaido flashbacks we're going to get.
You think so?
I don't think we're going to. Yeah, because I think that the reason why this flashback was so abbreviated is because Oda's saving the Rock's pirate crew flashback for another character later on down the line. And I think that this actually lends a lot of credence to Blackbeard being Rox's kid. Because I think that Blackbeard was at God Valley, and when we get the Blackbeard flashback, which we're eventually going to get, that's going to be
Sorry,
sort of Rock's crew.
Blackbeard was at God Valley?
That's what I assume. Yeah. Because there's the theory that Blackbeard was Rox's kid.
Okay.
And so was thus there at God Valley when the whole incident was going on.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, that was like 40 years ago, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the issue would be the issue would be that it would have been just a newborn or a child. So the flashback will not actually show us the whole time of the Rocks pirates, because Blackbeard would have been either yet to be born or a newborn. So it wouldn't be his flashback, right? It would be his father's flashback. So.
Well, I don't think we need to actually see the whole antics of the Rocks pirates because I feel like
we don't need to, but we want to.
We really want to.
we want to, but I mean, I don't think it Oda might not include it in the end because if he includes the Rocks pirates flashback, then there's probably a pirate crew that comes before the Rocks pirates who had that sort of level of eminence, and then do we get that flashback? And so I feel like he's not going to dive into all that the Rocks pirates did. I feel like he's going to focus on God Valley, and I feel like Blackbeard will be a child at God Valley because I feel like he's going to do something as a child that then leads to everything going wrong, and that will have some sort of impact on him. But that's just my theory on it. I'm not sure where else Oda would be able to fit in sort of a flashback to God Valley, unless Im was there, or some other sort of major.
There's a theory that Shanks was there too, because there's a theory that Shanks is the abandoned child of a celestial dragon who Roger picked him up when during the battle or after the battle. So maybe that's how they are all connected.
Wow.
because yeah, Shanks and Blackbeard seem to be sort of connected in some way, right?
Oh, well, like locked. I mean, that seems to be
Yeah.
Shanks's entire mission throughout this whole bit is to stop Blackbeard in one way or another. I mean, just the few clues we've gotten definitely seem to link to that theory. But I don't know. I think it's fascinating, Francesco, that you feel like this 4 page backstory didn't really have a lot of information, but here we are, like thinking of at least half a dozen theories that it could possibly link to. But
Oh, yeah, I was
Well, I
more.
mean,
Sorry, go on.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like the theories that we're bringing up are precisely because the flashback doesn't have too much information, and we're like, we need to get this information somehow. So, like,
yeah, fair enough.
this is where the theories come. But,
And I was more talking about Kaido himself, like not everything
yeah,
surrounding him. But, I think one of the reasons may be that because he's been such a prominent character and we've seen so much of him already, in terms of overall story balance, we didn't need to learn even more about him, right?
Hmm.
Because he has been such a prominent character. Really, there is not much else you need to say about him, just in terms of character development, not in terms of history, of course, because we would all love to have new volumes dedicated to the backstory of every single character in the
Oh
series.
yeah, I'd buy him. uh, well, I don't know. I mean, we kind of I feel like we got everything we needed with Kaido's character arc in the last couple or the very last chunk of flashback where uh, Kaido's talking to King and he asks him or he reveals that he knows who Joy Boy is and he's the man who's eventually going to beat him or need to beat him in the future. So it's almost kind of giving the idea that Kaido almost did all of this to possibly tease like a Joy Boy returning. Like he wanted Joy Boy to return because he accepted that he wasn't going to be Joy Boy. So it's kind of giving fuel to the idea that one reason that Kaido did all of this was so that he could fight the next incarnation of Joy Boy or something like that. Because of all the theories and everything about Wano, and I mean, especially with the whole prophecy that somebody would be coming to save the place of Wano and all that stuff, and that they wanted to keep it open for Joy Boy, or they wanted to open up the borders of Wano because Wano was closed down before they even got there, right? Like it
Yeah,
was okay, yeah, it's been
yeah,
like that
it
for a
was,
couple hundred years, I think.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than the flashback revealing a little bit of that, it just kind of, as I said earlier, it makes me really more curious about the old lady who could change her appearance. I'm wondering what made her so angry to trigger all
I mean,
this.
I'm pretty sure she was part of Orochi's clan, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah,
that her whole backstory where like she was part of Orochi's clan and so they had a
yes,
grudge against the Kozukis.
yes.
And so that's why she brought Kaido in to sort of
Mhm.
get revenge on the Kozuki clan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the story. But yeah, Jason is right that the lady and the other guy who had the, I think, Bartholomew's fruit now, the barrier fruit.
Mhm.
They yeah, without them nothing would have happened. So yeah, it would be interesting to know more about
Yeah.
them.
Hmm.
But perhaps we will never see them again. So
Yeah, it might be just one of the things that Oda kind of leaves hanging, and fans can kind of form their own speculation on it. But
Yeah, because I think they've served their like story purpose. You know, like they've been given a motivation for doing it, and they've been shown to have brought Kaido there. And it's like they're cool characters, but I feel like in terms of the overall story, it was just like, well, they did what they had to do.
Yeah.
They're dead now too, and they're never gonna pop up again. So
Right. Well, throughout this chapter, I'm kind of scrolling through to kick up memories and thoughts on it, but there was probably two things I didn't love about the chapter. There's very small things, but I can get into that a little bit later. But for you guys, what was some stuff that were the major highlights for you? What were some of your favorite bits of this chapter?
I mean,
Uh,
I feel like we haven't talked about yet what Luffy says of he's beating Kaido into the ground, which I really, really liked, where he's like, I want a world where my friends can eat as much food as they want, and that I think that like that sort of contrasts very well with my favorite part of the Kaido flashback, where it's just like whenever Kaido gets hungry, he gets captured by the Navy to like eat their food, and then he escapes, which just perfectly highlights his sort of philosophy of like, yeah, I'm strong enough to do this, so I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna eat this food, and if you're not strong enough to do this, then maybe you
yeah,
don't deserve food. So it it really contrasts Luffy and Kaido very well, despite both of them having philosophies that are sort of rooted in, oh, I want everyone to be free. Kaido's
yeah,
form of freedom is actually not freedom at all.
Hmm.
It's
yeah.
a world where people just get oppressed by the nature of it.
It's
It's very
oh, go ahead.
sorry. It's very interesting that we got these very nice sort of looks into these two characters without it ever being explicit,
Yeah.
So because from that little flashback, we understand that Kaido is sort of an anarchist, right? He he grows up with a hatred for power and authority because that's what they used to oppress his country and sell him and whatever, right? So his idea of freedom or rebellion against authority is just freedom for the strong. It's freedom through strength, right? So if you're strong, if you're, he says that you're actually free in war because war is that place where men are judged only by their strength, by their value, right? Not by the place that they have in society, right? So that's why he's building this huge army. That's why he's making them build weapons or whatever, because he basically wants to bring war to the world. That's his plan, right?
Hmm.
And through that's his way of opposing the world government. While on the other hand, you have Luffy, who is also essentially an anarchist because he's for freedom for everyone, right?
Hmm.
But uh, it's at the same time it's the opposite because it's not just freedom for the strong; it's freedom from everyone, and it's not freedom through war; it's freedom through peace and sharing food and having a banquet and everything. So yeah, that was my favorite part. That we got to see these similar but at the same time opposite philosophies, and you have to look into it because it's not being explicitly laid out for you. But I guess that just adds more value to it.
Oh yeah, because I mean, at the surface level, it's good guy beating the bad guy, but this chapter so effectively uh, told the story of how Luffy and Kaido, at the beginning, I mean, especially when Kaido was younger, they both had the same goal. Like, I need to eat more food, or I want to eat more. Right? And as you said, Luffy is doing this so then he and all of his friends, everyone who has done something or is kind for him, or all the people deserve to eat their fill, while Kaido is always more like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm more selfish, I'm doing this for what I need to do. But you kind of just helped me realize that too, is Kaido isn't 100% selfish. He just has he wants the strong to survive, rather than all the weaklings that he doesn't deem uh, worthy. But yeah, I mean, it just shows like the amazing parallels of they both sort of had the same, they both have the same goal of becoming the pirate king, and just depending how they went about it, it's radically different. So it's the same but different, which I think Oda does a great job with contrast and stuff like that in many of his stories. But in this chapter alone, I mean, just the pacing, and the story, it just flows so well throughout this entire chapter. It, it's it's one of those chapters that kind of just works by itself almost, without the extra, without all the extra context that we know and love. This chapter just, it just did it. It knocked it out of the park, and I'm okay that we are on break after this week. This was such a,
No,
I mean, of course it's disappointing, but this is just such a monumentous and just such a satisfying chapter that I'm okay having the extra week to breathe and just digest it all. Because
I think I've read this morning somewhere on Twitter that has been, I think, 64 chapters and 650 days in real life since
Wow.
the beginning of the raid, I think.
of the raid,
So
okay.
yeah, so,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, yeah, not too long into the raid is when Luffy and the worst generation were able to get onto the roof,
mm,
which is technically when I'd say I would start the Luffy Kaido fight. And the anime is just now getting to that. So I think it is safe to say that, sometime next April or May, we should be getting this animated. So that's exciting. Uh,
I've even seen some discussion online that this is not the end actually because we didn't get the tag with the winner Luffy or whatever, as it's been the case for every
yeah.
fight in the raid. But
Oh,
but
that's true.
but we should also remember that in Zoro and Sanji's case, the formal declaration was in the following chapter because
Yeah.
the finishing blow was delivered in the last panel of a chapter, sort
Mhm.
of like what happened here. And then in the following chapter, we got the declared winner tag. So I think that's what's happening here too. Come on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's even a couple panels that finally show the sky lanterns in the air, and then we see behind it the smoke of Kaido's impact. So this is happening close enough to the Flower Kingdom that I absolutely think the next chapter is going to start with some Wano people like, what was that? And then moving over to this dragon shaped crater, and they're going to look down and see Kaido knocked out. And that would be probably the perfect time for a or the declaration of who won the fight. But yeah, I really don't see. In one of our previous discussions, I know especially you, Francesco, were really wanting Wano people to deliver the final blow. I
Yeah.
know, and maybe we could still get that. I mean, Kaido might crawl out of the hole incredibly weak and not able to fight uh, really so much anymore. And maybe we'll get. I disagree with Ben. I don't think we're done with Kaido flashback stuff. I really hope we're not done with Kaido flashback stuff. And I kind of see. I would love it if Kaido's about to like reveal a bunch, but then one of the Wano people, or even one of the Akuza 7, not Akuza, one of the vestiges, just like chops off his head or something. So it's just like we're about to get a bunch of story that we really want, and then they're just like, nope, we don't want it. You're done, Kaido. Like you've done too much damage. We don't even want to hear your respects or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I found funny was that the people in the flower capital are significantly oblivious of these
Yes.
giant rock floating.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the response for them yet, and
They've been looking at the sky all the time because they're just looking at the lanterns. So how did they miss that giant thing landing?
Oh,
Just
absolutely. And I feel like it wasn't until this chapter where we finally start to get some panels where it's like clearly right above the buildings, and especially with that last panel where the island is, or Onokashima is landing right next to it. And yeah, I'm curious to see some more shots of that. I mean, it's just the panels. They probably need a little bit more time for this next chapter because I imagine that we're gonna get like the sunrise, the Wano. I mean, it's I'm just so excited to see Oda's spreads because we've had so much leading up to like Nika the sun god, and the next time the sun will rise, it'll be a new dawn for Wano, and it just the big thing happened, and now the resolution and happy ending is about to happen. But that final panel of Luffy, he looks like he might need some time to recover. I'm not sure if he's going to be ready to party right away.
Yeah, which is another reason why I think Kaido is down for the count. Like, I mean, we could have sort of like a Dressrosa situation where like Luffy's passed out and they need to like stall Kaido for when he wakes up.
Oh,
But
I don't know, because I
or
really don't think Luffy could do anything bigger than what we just saw. Like, that was about as
yeah, exactly.
monumentous
Which
as
is
we can get.
another reason why I think the fight's sort of over. Because
Yeah.
like the seven scabbards are also sort of like they're they're pooped. You know, they're sort of. I mean, maybe not all of them. Like it looks like Kawamatsu is still okay.
Yeah,
But it
we
look like
Denjiro,
yeah,
Komatsu, and Raizo are still like uh, kicking. They're not missing arms or the lower halves of their body. um,
yeah. But like Kinemon is down. You know,
yes.
maybe dead, although probably not. Um, like I feel like if some of the seven scabbards are down to the count, it's not going to be as satisfying if like Kaido's still alive and the remaining scabbards take him down. I feel like it's
Right.
sort of like an all or nothing thing with that group.
Yeah, and actually, great segue because it can kind of go into is a disappointment I actually had from a chapter or two ago, but I just forgot to bring it up. Really wanted Hiyori to deliver the final blow in Orochi, but
Mhm.
we had Dendro come in
Yeah.
and deliver it, and it was a great panel and all that stuff. But it's just I would like a female character to have a shining moment, especially Hiyori. I mean, she, unlike her brother Momonosuke, she didn't just jump into the future 20 years later. She's been, especially in front of Orochi. I mean, she's been having to deal with his BS for years, and I don't know. This chapter almost made me feel like she didn't know or didn't realize that Denjiro was this character that's been watching over her this entire time. It's almost like making it feel like this was the reveal for her, that he's been there the whole time for her. But yeah, that's one bit I didn't love about this chapter was Dendro just saying like, "Oh, it's okay, I've got you," and her crying into his chest. And I'm like, Hiyori, we know you, we know you can fight a little bit, right? Or no, I might be thinking of other. I might get her and Kiku confused quite often. uh, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I mean, I also agree. I would have liked Hiyori's final blow against Orochi to be the finishing blow against Orochi. But I don't actually take issue with her crying into Denjiro's uh, sort of like shirt this chapter because I feel like there's it's questionable whether she knew if that Denjiro was on her side or not. But like this is sort of her. releasing all her emotions now that Orochi's finally gone. You know,
Yeah.
like she's had to suffer for these like 20 years, and it was not pleasant for her.
No.
And now she can sort of just let it all out because he's finally dead, or finally apparently dead. You know,
Yeah,
maybe he has another life. Uh,
I
but
will be legitimately
yeah, I would
disappointed
have.
if he's not dead.
Yeah, I would have loved if her final like setting him on fire was the thing that killed him because that was such a satisfying moment when it happened.
Yeah, yeah,
But
especially because I mean, she had to watch her dad, or I don't know if she was there to watch it. That would have probably been would have not made sense for the family to be there because she probably wouldn't have survived. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look at flashbacks. But one thing I would be curious for a fan who's much more observant than I am, if they if we figured out who each got a kill on Orochi. I think it'd be interesting if like all the scabbards were got one, but I'd have to go back and look
yeah,
at
no,
that.
I don't think. Yeah, I think the kills on Orochi have been like Kaido. Yeah, actually, just like Kaido. I think Kinemon had one, right? And
Yeah,
then Hiyori and Denjiro. I think those are the only ones we've seen. Although I could be wrong.
yeah, I'd have to look that up. But
It's been a
hey,
long race. Yeah.
yeah, that could be a pitch. um,
Yeah.
let's see. There was one other bit that I was sort of bothered by on this chapter, but yeah. While I'm thinking about that, what else about this chapter did you guys want to bring up before we start throwing out our theories on the next thing? I mean, we have the cover page, I
I think we should
suppose.
bring up, yeah,
Ryan, go
yeah,
ahead.
the cover story.
uh,
Uh, Still
it,
not really revealing exactly what's going on in Whole Cake. Um, so hopefully we'll find out next cover page. Uh, 'Cause we, as longtime listeners know, we've been debating this, who exactly is on Whole Cake for a while. Uh, and so we need that reveal, Oda. Come
is
on.
it Sabo?
Probably not, since Sabo's captured by the world government, but
That's what they want
uh,
us to think.
Hmm.
it
Ooh.
would be interesting if they Kumified him, or like turned Sabo into the same
Oh
sort of thing that
no.
they turned Kuma into.
Oh,
It
we'll
could
get
be
That would
that.
be,
like a
It could
Terminator
be that.
Sabo.
Yeah, it could be
uh,
that it's still the Blackbeard pirates, guys. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's what I'm thinking.
I know this is a
maybe.
crazy new theory, but I think it might be Blackbeard pirates, guys.
No, I mean because the fact that the two brothers are getting away makes people think that it's someone who is doing that specifically to save them.
Yeah, Germa.
But maybe that's just a consequence of what's going on outside.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because we don't quite get. It's not Brulee's powers that lets them put people into books, is it?
No.
It's somebody else's. Okay,
no,
because I know the last cover story we kind of got teased with Cracker and Brulee hanging out, and Brulee was
Yeah.
using her mirror power to reach into somewhere. And now we're cutting to everything's on fire and nothing's good for people of Whole Cake Island. And yeah, it just Oda keeps on. It's amazing how he keeps on adding to this emotionless excursion without giving us any more real information. It's like we keep on getting just the smallest inkling of story progression through these cover stories, but he's doing an immaculate, amazing job of not giving us any more information than we need, and it's gonna make that reveal all that much more poignant. I'm excited for
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, as far as we don't fully understand how the whole cake powers work, so does somebody with fire powers just suddenly appear and are doing this, or did did somebody disrupt like the book magic and the book magic? Yeah, because I mean, the official translation for it is why the book in the lab burned up, freeing the brothers. So whoever has the book powers, could be getting messed up right now, and that could be the cause of this, rather than somebody with fire powers coming in and disrupting things. So, Oda, you have successfully given us even more questions than answers once again with your cover story. Oh, another thing I just realized too, I didn't notice it until looking at the panels much more closely, but we get a shot of Zoro on top of Frankie's shoulder, and he's still knocked out, and I'm looking forward to Sanji rubbing that in his face, just like, oh, how useful were you after your fight?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, still, I'll say it again. My favorite panel is absolutely the shrinkage of Kaido losing his fire dragon form. Which, I mean, do we want to say that's his awakened form, or are we kind of throwing the whole awakened thing out the window?
I
I
think
feel
so.
like awakening for most zone fruit powers is like not really a thing. I mean, I don't know. We've seen Luffy's awakened fruit, and Luffy does have his own fruit, but I feel like for most of them, it's like, what would an awakened sort of cod fruit be, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
When I
Everyone
first heard
turns
that,
into
I thought it
fish.
was a dragon.
Like,
So, because I think that
yeah.
that's the whole Japanese mythology behind the koi fish is a koi fish was trying to swim up a waterfall and it never gave up, and it eventually like evolved into a dragon.
Right. Also, that's the inspiration for Magikarp.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think
Okay.
they draw on the same like Japanese stories. I think
I didn't know that.
in those relations there. So yeah, as soon as it was revealed that Kaido has the magic carp fruit, I imagined I was just like, oh, okay, so that means his dragon form is his awakened form because he's a Gyarados. And
I
yeah,
could see that.
I brought up in some other discussions too. I've read a popular theory. A lot of people who have been doing One Piece content way longer than I have didn't seem to think that we've seen Kaido's awakened form yet. And yeah, I think we saw it, and we just watched it get punched through the earth. So
Yeah. And there's also I mean, maybe Momonosuke is an example of how unknown awakened dragon fruit is. You don't have control over all the abilities, it's not as big as Kaido, doesn't have the same, I don't think he even has the hybrid form. So, there is a
Yeah.
gap.
I mean, I think Momo's
gap, yeah.
fruit might actually be the dragon fruit. Um, I think that was said at one point when
Well,
like
it
Momosuke
was
was
a failed
revealed.
copy.
It's an
Yeah.
artificial creation from Kaido's DNA. So whatever that is,
Oh, okay. So
it was created from Kaido's whatever they call DNA, a lineage in the series, whatever, but it's DNA.
yeah.
Yeah, it was actually one of my favorite Reddit comments about it.
Lineage factor. That's it.
Sorry, what was that?
Lineage factor.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It was one of my favorite Reddit comments about it. They're just like, why was Momonosuke's fruit considered a failure? And one of the answers just felt like it was just written by Oda himself. He was just like, well, because it was pink. Like, it's not blue, so it was a failure. Like, okay, well, it still turns into a gigantic, monstrous dragon. Like, but it's pink, so it's a failure. But yeah, I think another thing I'm incredibly excited about is Momonosuke turning back into his human form, because we haven't seen adult Momonosuke yet. And again, that's another thing that I'm wanting the people of Wano to see. But yeah, I mean, another thing about this chapter too is we got all the water rushing out of the island, and all of the people inside of Onigashima kind of dealing with that. But we got a couple panels to see if who's still standing. I'm surprised that old man Hinogaru.
Yogoro?
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
there. He's still kicking around, and but then yeah, the water
The
rushing
old
out.
school,
Sorry.
It's the old school.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all there
Yeah.
watching the people get flushed away because they knew exactly where to stay, I guess. Um, but yeah, I mean, everyone kind of rushing out, and now that the island has been landed, everyone can finally relax. And I feel like, especially the last couple panels, were the the releasing of the breath that's been building throughout this entire arc and story, and we're gonna get that nice inhale of the fresh new world in the next chapter. But as I said, this was also satisfying to me. I'm happy to revel in it for an extra week while Oda draws that sunrise panel and we find out more. But so yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what I'm hoping happens next. I'm hoping the sky will part, the sun will shine on the people of Wano, and we'll hopefully finally get their realization of everything that's been happening literally above their heads. Yeah, I think Momonosuke and Luffy need some time to breathe. Um,
Yeah.
I think. Oh, it helped. I just remembered else I didn't like about this chapter. Because I loved the idea so much of the lanterns uh, helping the theory that the lanterns were going to help Momonosuke create his flame clouds,
Mm,
and that didn't end up
Mm.
happening. It was really the main purpose of those was just to give us the perfect messages right before Orochi and Kaido are defeated. But I was kind of disappointed that Momonosuke just did it. Like he's been
Well,
struggling with the flame clouds for so long, and then when he needed to do it, it happened. But I,
yeah, just yeah.
yeah, I'm also a bit disappointed by that, but I also think that like if he had taken the flames from the lanterns, that would have been so much worse in my mind. Because like the flames represent the hopes of the people of Wano rising up into the clouds. And if he used that flame to save the people of Wano, then the lanterns would just come crashing down, which I feel like would not have would not have been symbolically
oh yeah,
appropriate. So,
Momo stealing the
uh,
people's hopes and dreams to create the clouds. I looked at it more as
yeah,
in like he was able to like if he was able to touch them and then they like just turned into clouds or they like exploded into the clouds. But yeah, I see your point.
yeah. I mean, I also think that there should have been something like that, some realization that he had that, let him bring forth the flame clouds rather than just desperation. But it happens occasionally, especially in a climax with so many moving parts like this one has.
Hmm.
Uh, some things can't really get fully fleshed out and fully sort of developed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, as I said, I'm hoping that the next chapter is the happy realizations, and I'm of course up for more Kaido flashback information. Um, Possibly Kaido being on the ground and him finally realizing, oh, I've been defeated. It's just like, well, I don't know, but we kind of got that in this exact. We got exactly that in this chapter. Kaido getting the big hit, and then him thinking back to his conversation with King and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. As I think it was Ben, you said that we might not get any more Kaido flashbacks, and I hope you're wrong, but I do see that possibly being the case too, because we definitely got that satisfying that whole message that I was saying that we need Kaido's realization that he just lost, and that's kind of what we just got here. So, but I guess what's some other stuff that you guys are hoping we see in. Wow, 1050. I feel like just last week
Wow.
it was chapter 10 1000 and yeah, we've got 1050 coming up. What do you guys hope to see in 1050?
I'm just looking forward to seeing the people's. I mean, I think you brought this up earlier. I'm looking forward to seeing the people's reactions to all this, and hopefully their reaction to Momo's human form, which I hope gets revealed next chapter.
Yeah.
But honestly, like whenever there's sort of a wrap up of an arc, which I think is what we're going to go into now, because I'm not sure where the arc could really go from here besides just things wrapping up. Uh, there have always just been incredible moments and like mind blowing hints of what's to come. So I'm just looking forward to all of those, and I feel like I can't predict what's gonna happen because it's just like Oda set such a standard for these sort of like right after the arcs finish.
Yeah.
So just seeing how it affects the world at large.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially you said it perfectly earlier. Like, there's just so many moving parts. It's especially in the entire world of One Piece right now that it's very difficult to tell what's going to happen. For immediately after this world shattering thing, especially after we had that last CP Zero guy dancing away from or air stepping away from the island. He's off to give everyone bounty raises is what he's doing.
Yeah.
But how about you, Francesco? Any final thoughts?
I'm looking forward to the party.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, it'll put Skypiea to shame.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially because Oda has said his one of his favorite panels he's ever drawn was the celebration at Skypiea. So we'll see how he tops it in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, another one of his favorite panels that he's done is sort of like the first panel of the Flower Capital. And just,
Yes.
so combining the two,
Oh man,
maybe.
it's that spread. I take that extra week, guys. You draw that.
Yeah.
Just talking to you, Oda's team. I know you listen. But yeah, I think that'll about wrap up our Mega Manga Mondays episode of One Piece Chapter 1049. It's the end of Wano, guys. I started getting caught up with the manga probably around the end of Whole Cake. Nah, I'm trying to think. I got caught up with the series at the beginning of Wano. So this is like my first week to week, like, huge saga ending. So that's how long this arc's been going on. I feel like I've been caught up for a couple of years now, and this is like the first week to week win that I've been able to experience with One Piece, and I'm grateful I was able to do it with you guys. So thanks for chatting and doing this podcast with us. But yeah, we'll probably go ahead and go into some plugs and recommendations, unless you guys had any other final One Piece thoughts.
No, just as a recommendation, check this week's One Punch Man chapter because there's some big stuff happening in there too.
Yes, yes. We're actually going to be trying to schedule a One Punch Man discussion soon. I think we're going to wait until this latest fan translation officially comes out.
Yeah,
and then
and also
we'll do that.
don't miss Dragon Ball Super this month too, because
Yes. Yeah, we're going to have a...
some interesting stuff from the previews.
Yes, yes. We got a lot of manga coming out, so definitely check out, great segue. One of my plugs is this podcast, Mega Manga Mondays. We talk about all kinds of different series other than One Piece as well. We do My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Super, Boruto, Jujutsu Kaisen, and we're going to hope to do some more One Punch Man stuff in the future. So definitely check out other series of those or other episodes of those if you are caught up on any of those. And also I do a YouTube series called Honzy and Friends where I play video games with friends and we try to make each other laugh and it's a good time. But yeah, Francesco, anything you want to recommend or pitch, buddy?
No, already did. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I don't really have any recommendations that I can think of, or any new recommendations that I can think of. Which is crazy. I think this is the first podcast where I haven't had a new recommendation to put people onto, which is crazy. But I do have a plug, and that's I have a YouTube channel now called Yugioh from Zero, which is sort of tracking the evolution of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game over time. It's something that I'm very much enjoying doing. So if it sounds like it's up your alley, feel free to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Check that out on YouTube. Also, that is UGO from Zero.
Uh, YGO from Zero.
YGO.
Yes.
See, yeah, I was
Yeah.
making sure you're plugging it. All right.
Yeah. Keeping me on my toes.
Absolutely, man. All right. Well, again, thanks for your time today, guys. It was a blast talking about this chapter, and yeah, keep an eye out for more episodes, and I look forward to keeping the conversations going.
Yeah, bye guys.
See y'all next time.
Yeah, have a good one.